Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, and I just got home from watching Rocky 4, the director's cut. I was originally going to make a review of it tomorrow morning, but you know what? Screw it. Let's just get this out of the way when it's still fresh in my mind. So, like I said in the little short video that I made when leaving the theater, I've never actually seen Rocky 4. So the director's cut tonight was the first viewing I ever saw in the theater. I do remember hearing a lot of things about the original movie, how even though it was pretty good, since this was the one with Ivan Drago, there were some stupid things about it, hence, like, the robot. The director's cut, they completely cut that part out, like, there was no robot at all. I don't know what all the changes were that were made to the movie, but I will say, whatever it was, it must have been a pretty good improvement. Uh, before the movie even started, there was this live from Philadelphia interview between Ben Mankiewicz and Sylvester Stallone, and I'll be honest, I didn't care for it. I didn't. Some people might have, but the entire time I was just thinking, just start the damn movie already. When the movie did finally start, it opened up with Rocky taking on Clubber Lang. I'm pretty sure that Clubber Lang was the guy that he fought in the third movie. So I'm not sure if like they reused the ending to the third movie or if that was already part of the fourth one. But I'm not sure. Either way, it was a pretty good way to like bridge the gap between 3 and 4. Even if that's even what they did. To be honest, there's actually not that much story there once I look back on it. Like, there's really only 3 really just huge acts of the film. Like, the first act is just Apollo Creed taking on Drago, and, like, everybody knows that Drago ended up killing Creed at the end of their fight. Second part is Rocky going to Moscow and training there. And then the third act is just him fighting Drago. In my opinion, there wasn't much else story there, except for what was given. Um, I will say though, in that interview at the beginning, like before the movie even started, they did say that the funeral scene was extended, which like I said, I haven't seen the original Rocky 4, so I don't know how long the funeral scene goes, but according to Sylvester Stallone, in the original movie, like, it went by like that. But there's really not much else that I can really say about this. I will admit, my favorite part of the film was actually the part where, like, Ivan and Rocky are training for their fight. Like, the fight itself was pretty intense. It was actually one of the bloodiest fights I've ever seen in a PG film. But seeing them actually training before the fight, I just liked that more because it just pumped up the main event. And I don't know if I'm being dramatic or anything, but that because of that training scene, that movie should be like a lesson in filmmaking for like juxtaposition and symbolism, where it just cuts back and forth between Rocky and Drago just training, amping themselves up for the fight to come. Uh, and the training itself that Rocky does was actually pretty cool and unique, where um, he's training by hitting those punching bags and everything and all that, but he's also like running up mountains, he's cutting down trees, he's heaving huge logs, and I don't think that boxers actually do that. But that was a pretty cool way to show that like Rocky is actually taking this thing seriously, because Drago like just killed his best friend. So he's not just some amateur fighter that the movie like to say that like that Drago has never done a professional boxing match before. until he fought Apollo Creed. Um, there is one thing that I did notice where uh I don't know how to put this, but like I actually felt bad for Drago quite a few times in the movie, because it was pretty clear that like the Russian government and like even his own wife was heavily pressuring him to win the fight against Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed. Um, and like it was pretty clear that like Drago wasn't like doing it for himself. He was doing it for his people and his wife and everyone. And and I actually felt even more bad for him by the end of the movie, where the crowd is suddenly cheering on Rocky instead of Drago. Like putting yourself in Drago's shoes, like having your own people cheering against you, that's gotta sting. And speaking of that whole cheering thing, I'll be honest, I was actually on Russia's side quite a bit, and I know that the movie was supposed to like symbolize the Cold War and everything. Like they outright said in the interview that it was supposed to be like a Cold War story, but like smaller, given that it's just like a boxing match between two people. But I was actually on the Russians' side for this one, cause just because of how they treated Drago. Like Apollo Creed, he was basically like jumping around Drago, constantly berating him even before the fight, and he paid dearly for that with his life. But they also held their boxing match in Vegas with like all those people singing and dancing about like how great America is, and they were constantly putting down Russia. Um, and like during even during their first meeting, Creed was constantly like bad mouthing Drago and Russia, to the point where it got into a heated argument where like Drago like physically pushed Creed at one point before they had to be broken up. And then even after that fight, uh, like the American people were still throwing shade at Russia. Like I remember one person in the movie mentioning how at least like they don't go after people with machine guns or anything, and whether that's true or not, like that had nothing to do with boxing. And then like even later in the film, um, I end up picking up a lot on the American commentators who were commenting on the fight in Moscow. How how they were constantly talking about how like Rocky was facing like a very hostile crowd, and how like all the Russian people were just hating on Rocky, and they were trying to make Rocky seem like the victim. And again, I get that it's a movie about like the Cold War and everything, but I ended up sitting there thinking like, where were you guys when you were berating Drago? And I'm not, I'm not trying to defend. I'm not trying to defend like anyone here, but uh, I don't know. Maybe that's what they were trying to go for in the movie. How both sides were being incredibly hypocritical. But more often than not, I found myself like agreeing with like the Russian people that the Americans were being extremely unfair and biased. But that's really all I have for my thoughts on the film. I'm gonna have to see the original at some point. I'm gonna have to make sure to skip the robot scene. And I'm gonna have to make sure to like actually watch the entire series, because for someone who's never actually seen the Rocky series, this was a great film to actually start out. But other than that, those were kind of just my thoughts. What do you guys think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I heard that the director's cut is gonna be streaming tomorrow, So be sure to check that out on whatever platform it goes on. I think it's supposed to be on Amazon. But until next time, guys.